I finally finished Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a couple days ago, and I thought I might get my opinion out there. The last time I played a game in the series was Xenosaga. And Xenosaga was pretty cool. I mean, it wasn't really that great in the sense that it had mediocre graphics and the dub was absolutely horrendous, but the mechanics were sound. And that's going to be something I'm going to come back to, because it's actually something that seems to be a recurring trend. All around, that game was alright. Not the best JRPG I ever played, but definitely not the worst. Average, that's fine. I think that an average game is serviceable. It'll get me through it. I might finish an average game, sometimes I won't. If it's above average, obviously I'm going to cruise right on through it because I love it so much. But if it's average, I may finish it. You know, sometimes things go to the graveyard. They get shelved forever. But for anybody that thinks 5 out of 10 is terrible, to me, it's not. It's middle of the road, it's okay. So, getting that out of the way, I've gotten away from the point. I played Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on and off for the better of a couple of months. Sometimes I was super invested in that plot because I was like, oh man, what the hell is gonna happen next? Other times in the story I was like, why the hell is this still going? But then there was the times when I would take a break, and when I would take those breaks it was mostly because of arbitrary grinding or unnecessary length, and I just was so overwhelmed that I was like, I'll just take a minute. It's good for the Switch though, because with the Switch you have the option of taking it wherever you go. So I played it on my lunch breaks every once in a while, did a little bit of salvaging, did a little bit of grinding, hop in, hop out, blah blah blah. But let's actually talk about the game, alright? Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is not for the completionist. I'm gonna say that now. There's no effing way you're going to start this game and say, I want to do everything in it, because you know, and I know, that there's far too much to do. And we all knew that going in. Now, I actually did the research on it. It's boasting about a 240-hour completion time, and that's a really fucking long time to beat a game to its entirety. You're asking a lot from the average gamer. Now, I guess JRPGs aren't really for the average gamer. That's not really a thing anymore. But if you want to blitz through the game, you're looking at 60 hours to finish it, or 40 hours if you're going as fast as humanly possible. So it's long. It's really long. It's long. It's a long game. You will feel those hours. Every single hour that passed, I was like, oh my god, this game is still going. But a lot of the optional stuff that you do actually does benefit you in some way, but it's gone about in a way that makes you feel like it's a little bit slow because it's a lot of fetch quests. In fact, almost the entire thing is fetch quests, but the Blade quests are nice because they pepper in some good cutscenes. And because you're going to be moving around the map so often, more often than not, you're going to find like a heart-to-heart where your characters will discuss with one another something that you can learn a little bit more about the characters, which is really good because it's good for character development. Although it would be nice if a little bit more of that was thrown into the actual core story, because now I'm finding things out about Rex and Nia, Pyra, and all that after I've beaten the game, because I still haven't 100% completed it, and I don't think I ever will. But that's enough about time. If you don't want to waste more time, play the game with a guide. In fact, just play the game with a guide in general. Keep it on your side, just keep it around. You're going to want to refer to it every once in a while, especially since the map is so bad. But let's get into what actually makes the characters move. The plot is the important element of a JRPG. Without a plot, a lot of people aren't invested in the game, they don't want to play it. So for anybody who wants to go into this game entirely blind, this is not the review for you. So here's your TLDR. The game is long. The plot's okay and it's fun sometimes. I liked it. Even though, you know, I may bash on it in the reviews, sometimes it's easier to find the faults than it is to say the good, because good speaks for itself, whereas faults, you're always going to see faults. So, spoiler mode, we're going all the way in. We're not going to talk about everything. We're not going to talk about every element of the game, but there are going to be certain things you might not want to see. Spoilers activated. There are outfits that Rex gets later in the game. There are characters you unlock later in the game. That's all in the review. There are rare blades that are in this review. If you don't want to be spoiled on what they look like, don't be spoiled by it. Sometimes cracking open that new one, it really does get you going. I don't honestly know what's considered too far in a game to be considered spoilers, so you've been warned. But for those of you who want it all spoon-fed to you, for those of you who won't buy the game, I'll try to give you like a reductive summary of what this is. You'll start this game with Rex kicking back with Gramps. He's like a giant titan, and basically titans are either land masses or large beasts that a lot of people use as transportation or a way of living. The titans are slowly dying because of time. They've been around for some time at this point, and the circle of life has somehow been broken. They get into that far later in the game, but it'll be covered. So basically, because Rex is that good-natured dude that he is, he's sending money home. He's doing the best that he can, trying to be a salvager. They're just digging up stuff from the Cloud Sea and, being a decent person, doing his best to not be a piece of shit. You know how it is. Anime protagonists, they want to be the good guy in every aspect. If you don't like the whole anime nature of the whole game, you might get taken out of it immediately, and to which I would not recommend it. Because if you don't like that anime aspect, there's a lot of stuff like that in here. But, getting back to the story. Rex, he's pretty broke. So, as the game progresses, it's not very far in that he's asked to do a very specific job. It's almost immediately after he gets off of Gramps. When he does the job, when he goes to take it, he's explained, hey, we need a very specific person from a very specific group of people from a very specific place to go on this very specific job. We're not going to tell you what it is off the bat, but here's a shit ton of money to do it. And he says, well, sure, why not? Because he's a kid and he's really not that smart. No questions asked, he jumps right in. This is where he meets Tsundere Cat, FIFA 2012, and Char Aznable. And they all treat him like hot garbage, and they go embark on some giant journey for some very obviously important artifact or object. None of this is specified. They don't say what they're looking for. They just say, hey, come with us so we can do this job. When they open the door, they don't discover an object. They discover a girl with huge tits. Yeah, I know, it seems immature to just go, oh, well, this chick's got huge tits, but it's a trend that I'm going to get into because it is a recurring issue throughout the game. It's kind of gross and I don't like it. It's a lot. But due to Rex touching shit without asking, Char Aznable stabs him like he was out past 9 in Humble Park. I don't know if anybody knows about Humble Park, but you live in Illinois. Yeah, it's not a very safe place to be at night. You're probably gonna get shot. Anyway, Rex dies. But he's awakened in some spiritual state. We've all seen this in any anime ever. And suddenly he's having a conversation in some beautiful land that's birdsong and grass, and it's rich with so many different things that he's been looking for in the world. She's talking to him about how she wants him to bring her to Xanarkand. Okay, maybe not Xanarkand. I mean Elysium. Of course, fucking Rex, it's the same shit. It's Final Fantasy X with different elements, okay? He awakens and he goes, okay, well, I'll take half your life force because that's what she offers. And she goes, all right, let's go on this quest. But when he wakes up, Char and FIFA 2012 are trying to snub out any witnesses. They want him dead. They say, hey, we couldn't get what we wanted, so we're going to kill everybody there. Whatever. But with this newly passed down power, he fights off FIFA 2012 and Char Aznable. FIFA 2012's name is Malos, by the way, and Char Aznable's name is Jin. If you don't get the joke at this point, Malos has a faux hawk. It's a very serious faux hawk, and from what I remember at the end of high school, everybody was rocking it. Whereas Jin looks like any Char character from all of Gundam. And if you don't know that, then you're probably not interested in this game anyway. So there you go. And Tsundere Cat, if I didn't already say, is that's Nia. Nia's got Dramark. Drawmark's this really cool tiger. I like Drawmark. He's got this really nice accent. He seems like he's more of a butler than he is a blade, but it's cool. Now, the deal here is that now that old Rex is woken up from his, hey, go save the world exposition dump, he's got to fight off old FIFA 2012 and Char. It doesn't really explain how he's got so much prowess with the blade that he has, because he seems to be a natural with it, which, again, is another trend that you'll see in a lot of anime. Now, after fighting off these people, some stuff happens. He kind of gets knocked away with Gramps and Nia, and he's thrust into the plot, looking for Xanarkand. Okay, actually Elysium. This is another one of those things. Play Final Fantasy X if you don't know what I'm talking about. If I go any further, I'll actually start ruining the story here, because there's a lot of different things that are just going to keep coming, and you're going to be like, okay, I get why you brought this up, but don't completely spoil it for me. So we'll leave it at that. It's like 13 hours of cutscenes, so if you want to watch it on YouTube or something like that, don't. Just play the game. Play the game, because otherwise those 13 hours of cutscenes coming back to back is going to be a drag. Imagine spending 13 hours in a row watching one thing. The only time I can do that is if it's a really good anime series. And when I say anime series, this is one of them. It's the most anime game I've ever played, complete with quotes like, "We will defeat them with the power of friendship." I knew what I was getting into. But what I didn't expect is the scantily clad main character, Pyra. Her boobs are huge, and I guess that's okay to an extent, but you know what, man, like, I'm 25 years old. I know what fan service is at this point, and I know this is a little bit too much. You know, it's one of those things. I know everybody's kind of tired of the joke of Quiet crawling across their screen and making them feel like they're at a strip club, but then I thought it was as bad as it could be until Dahlia happened. Just watch this. Just like look at it. I'm not going to discuss it any further. I won't. Just look at this. Just look at it right now, and then come back. And I'll play it right here. This should do the trick. This is it. Yo, are you fucking seeing it? That's fucking crazy. They're huge. What the fuck is that?
The name's Dahlia. Allow me to make your life as enchanting as possible. We'll be great together, I do declare.
Look, here's the deal. The plot is stupid amounts of anime. This is an anime. This is the most generic anime you've probably ever watched. You've got female character that needs to be taken to this specific place, and when they get to this very specific place, this will quote-unquote save the world. Great job. You really came up with an original one this time, Monolith Soft. But the game's not bad because of that. Sure, the scale of events is massive, and that's evident from the very first time you pop in the cartridge. It's not going to change your life. But if you can get past how anime it is, it's pretty charming. I really liked all the characters, minus how flat Pyro was and how annoying the voice acting could be. The characters were well written. I ended up loving Tora. He ended up being one of my favorite characters, even though I got super irritated by the way that he spoke. He was just so cute. Sounds hella gay, but he was. He was a cute character. But let's get back to it. Let's talk about the actual, the things that make this game. Let's structure of it. This game's got some really great music. The environments and their ambience is peaceful and suspenseful when necessary, Beautiful, beautiful environments. And you don't notice it as you're playing it. You really notice going back and just taking the world in. Because a lot of the times as you're progressing through the game, you're like, oh, I just want to go here so I can go here so I can go here. But you won't take it in for what it truly is until you go back and you say, well, I want to see more of it. It wasn't until I was recording footage for this game that I was like, wow, these are really good environments. Sometimes the platforming was pretty weak, but they're beautiful. And the music for the environments is just great. I love the music in this game. I didn't think I would. I remember it being nominated for a couple things here and there. They were saying, hey, maybe this could get Album of the Year. And there was no question that Nier Automata was going to take it. As much as Persona 5 is fantastic, Nier Automata had a lot of good music in it. So I didn't even really care to listen to it. A lot of the times I played this game listening to a podcast, only stopping the podcast so that I could, hear a cutscene or see something important. I was like, oh, I gotta stop. This might be something big. But amongst all the compliments for all of the music, all this high praise, up next you got the voice acting, and it's fucking bad. It is not good. Sure, it's pretty unique most of the time. Characters really don't sound like the average anime character. They sound like they're from somewhere completely different. They sound like they're somewhere from the EU. And if you couldn't tell by the way that I'm speaking, I'm obviously from America. But the EU people, they did a really good job, It's like this weird Scottish or British accent. I can't really put my finger on it, but it's there. Some people are saying some of the voice actors were like Welsh or something like that. And I didn't take the time to research it enough to say where each character is from. But other times, when I'm not admiring the fact that they have such a variety of different voice actors, it can get pretty grating. Pyra's got two different ways of speaking. Sometimes she'll sound like she's like some sage-like wizard where she knows everything that's going on. And other times, it sounds like you're talking to somebody who's sight-reading lines. Like, this is the first time they've ever seen it, and they're just like, well, this is just how I do it. Fuck it. I'm not gonna bash the accents. The accents are fine. I really liked the whole EU thing, and it really changed things up, especially how anime this game was. But you could have put a little bit more effort into that delivery. Pyra, and spoilers, Mithra. And speaking of effort, holy shit. Why is the dub so poorly synced? It's bad. It's really bad. It is the worst synced lip flap I've ever seen, including Final Fantasy X, and that's saying something because that was terrible. And that game's, 12, 13 years old at this point. It'll take you out of it. It's like watching an old samurai flick in English. You know what I'm talking about, where the mouth stops moving 15 minutes ago, but they're still having a conversation. I'm sure the Japanese dub is a lot better. Well, the Japanese actual version of the game, because it's not a dub for them. That's just how the game is. But after I started the game in English, I couldn't switch back. Those voices were part of what the characters were. I do that a lot. But here's some good news. The game's fun. When you're in combat going toe-to-toe with some big boy, around your level, it's life or death. It's kill or be killed. The enemies are pretty tough most of the time as long as you don't overgrind. And if you undergrind, you will get bodied. It's like playing high-level Chrono Trigger. Character formations matter, positions make a huge difference, and you can't just spam auto attack your way through it. Because I spoke to somebody in regards to this game, and they were convinced. I think it's because they grinded a little too early, and they were starting to auto attack everything down without using blade arts, and that's fine, but that's not how the game is intended to be played. Creator's intent, man. Take your time. And every time you fight something, it takes some form of effort. Blades act as almost Pokemon. You pop open a new one, you level it up, and you let it go. And there's multiple classes for each selected blade. The main brackets are going to be tank, healer, and attack. And with that, there are further weapon classes in each, like chroma katanas and bit balls, which are basically just blitz balls. This is Final Fantasy X. And some of them are better than others. I prefer having a tank healer DPS layout, but there's so much variety in your choices. I've seen ridiculous layouts all over YouTube. People have been talking about this game like, this is how you do this is how you lay it out. I prefer the generic way of doing things because otherwise I die pretty quick. And if you like blitzing them down with raw damage, it is possible. You can do it as long as you can out DPS your foe. It's not about sustaining that fight. It's just massive damage. But if you want to keep your team healthy, you can run 2 healers and have one guy put in all the hard work, holding the aggro as a tank. Do whatever you want. I was never really good at playing tanks in any game, so I ran DPS and I had a pretty competent NPC take all my damage. They just did everything for me. Morag, you're bae, because I can't do it. And Tora, shut the fuck up, you talk too much. Even though I love you. Morag kept me alive. And I'm sure there's a lot of average gamers that did the same. They probably ran the Nia, Rex, Tora team, or they ran Nia, Rex, and Morag. Because Tora is the most interchangeable until you get to endgame. But when you get to the end game, you get a little bit more options for Tora, so it's really up to you at that point. I love the options to choose from in this game. It was always really fun. I always loved it because it was like, oh shit, this person sucks. I'll just switch them out this way, move them around this way, and then I'll have an excellent team. And because there were so many different types of blades, not just in the sense that there was a variety of different classes, but also these really cool rare blades that were designed from people all over the game industry, it was really cool. Tetsuya Nomura is involved with this game, some hentai artist is involved with this game, and again, yeah, it's very obvious that some hentai artists, oh my god, it's bad. Oh man, if I wanted to watch hentai, I'm just gonna watch it, come on guys. Some look good. Others, I will admit, they kind of take you out of the experience because there's no real theme on all these different rare blades. They're so different that seeing them is almost kind of jarring, having them all on the same team. Wolfric doesn't look like he should be on the same fighting team as Agat, or however you pronounce that. And let me just throw this out there right now. Agat, you can stay home. Just stay home. You're trash. I have not been able to use her at all. I'm trying to figure out how to make her better, but she just doesn't do enough damage for me. And of course, I'm still working on getting the precious rare blade, Cosmos, from Xenosaga. Because as I said before, I like that game. And Cosmos is bae as fuck. Also, she has a giant gun. I can't say no to giant guns. It's gonna come eventually, I think. Unless another game comes out and I drop this one entirely. This game's full of variety. This is really good. Your rare blades have their really cool side quests and you can initiate them to make them better. Sometimes not right away, but they'll come eventually, and by the time that you do finish those, your affinity charts, which I'll get into, they'll be boosted up real high, they'll be strong. You'll want to do them, because if you like the blades that you have, you'll want to strengthen them, so that your team is at maximum capability. There's a ton of different blades that you can choose from, and I really enjoy the blades. I really enjoy the variety, but I'm hanging on them a little too long. Except Shiba, because I eventually maxed out Shiba, and it's very satisfying to max out a blade. You get a whole bunch of cool stuff, and they're hella strong. Now that we're done with that, combat. It's versatile in so many different ways, and the game doesn't let you forget it. You got all these chain attacks, blade combos, the elusive smash combo that you're never gonna fucking land because the only person that really has a smash attack is Rock if you're playing Rex, and everybody hates Rock because he's annoying as shit and he's poorly designed as a character. But otherwise, combat system's perfect. It's fine. It's beyond serviceable. It's above average. I never get to play a game where it's like this, and then this, and then this, to meet these standards, and the enemy will fight against you so that you cannot do those things. But inevitably, you're gonna get them stacks, you're gonna drop that chain attack, and it's gonna be a good-ass time. That's a sign of a good combat system. You can't just AFK A button, or X button if you're playing PlayStation, where you just hit attack, 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 and then eventually hit overdrive, etc. But now that we've discussed combat, there's something I have to get out of the way right fucking now. Right fucking now. Tiger, pre-patch, fuck you. It's garbage. This is like some mini game they have you play so that you can level up one very specific blade. This is not fun. They've been patching this thing since launch. They added an easy mode to it because it wasn't enjoyable in the normal difficulty. They did a lot. They've been patching this game for a minute, actually, because there were a lot of things that they really needed to fix. and we'll get into that. The map is trash. The map is garbage. I hate the map. It's not good. You can't see where you are unless you open up a menu that takes about 10 seconds at a time to get to. And then when you finally find your character, you have to reopen it, or you have to remember the exact position of where you were at the time to find exactly where you are on the map in the game. It's not a well-designed map. And on top of that, like most games, there's a compass, and the compass is no good. Just don't use the compass. Use the guides. Play the game with the guides. Play the game with the walkthrough. I don't fucking care. Just don't use the map. It's bad. And something else that I need to get out of the way. Popping open a blade takes an unnaturally long amount of time. Like, ridiculously long. This game basically runs on RNG for everything that makes it good. And rare blades are rare. They're rare as fuck. Like, they're really rare. In fact, a lot of things are rare. Even items in the shop are rare. Premium cylinders just show up. There is no rhyme or reason for why they're there. They just show up. You go to a certain store and they say, hey, you can buy these here. And they're so expensive that if you're not really cheesing the system, you're not going to be able to afford a lot of them off the bat. So there I was carrying 4 million. I dropped 2 million so I could have 99 of these cylinders, so I could grind as much as I could if I needed to for very specific items that were super rare. But that doesn't make a difference because everything that's rare is RNG, which kind of sucks. But the big thing that makes this game a little too long, despite all of this RNG, all this other stuff, because the game is way longer than it should be in my opinion, it's grind. It's a lot of grind. So, affinity charts is really something I need to hit on a little bit more because it is an important element of the game. It's your grindage. You're going to see a lot of different ways to grind, trust, affinity, all that. But affinity is what makes your blades stronger. It gives them new abilities, and these are mostly passive, but they're very important, and they keep them competitive. They take a long ass fucking time. They take a very long time. And the big sin here is that the numbers, they matter. They matter way too much. If you fight an enemy that's level 50 and you're level 50, it's going to be tough. Which is fine until another enemy aggroes. To breeze through areas, you have to grind through quite a bit just to not die in seconds in an ambush. And this lengthens the game by quite a bit. It makes it a little less fun to pop into on occasion. Because sometimes you just want to relax, and then when you go to relax, you just pop this game, and it's like, oh my god, everything's beating my ass. Time to grind. Not everybody likes grinding, and this game's pretty hard sinned for it. I was tired of the final boss in the level when I finally got to him. And he demolished me a few times, truth be told. He really beat my ass, because I didn't know exactly what I needed to do. It took out a pretty cheesy strat to bring him to his knees, and even then, he kind of beat my ass during that process, and I wasn't a fan of that. And look, I know there's a lot of negativity in this, but I really did like the game. If I had, those hours wouldn't have piled up that fast, or at all. But again, you will feel those hours. This is a Persona kind of deal. You play it, you love it, but you're not going to go back and play it again. New Game Plus isn't going to be one of those experiences you're going to get right into right away. They're patching in New Game Plus, by the way, because that's not there yet. Although it will be fun to crush through enemies with renewed power, for right now, not only is it not an option, but you're not going to do it. You just won't. Easy mode's also coming, and these patch jobs are pretty good. If you've kept an eye on them, they've been consistently actually improving quality of life of every element of the game, including removing the animation for summoning a blade, because oh my god. Yes, it takes this fucking long. Oh my god, yes, it takes this fucking long. Why does it take this fucking long? Oh my god, no. No. Please. Need I remind you that this happens every single time that you open every single blade? If you have 99 common core crystals, you have to watch this 99 times. You're not going to. You're going to try as hard as you can to skip it. You're not going to be able to skip it. Not until March. Brace yourself. Fuck this. Look, Xenoblade Chronicles, at its core, is a fun, anime-esque game with a lot of artificial lengthening processes. It's got great combat. And of course, it's got stellar music. And JRPGs always knock it out of the park when it comes to music, so if it didn't, I would probably ding it for that. But play the game. Buy it in March when the quality of life patches hit. I'm going to give this game a solid 7 out of 10. And why a 7? Because somebody might ask, hey, why are you giving it a 7 out of 6 out of 5 out of 4, etc. Deductions for the VO, voiceover. The grind and the endgame slog, it really kind of deducts from it. So thanks for checking in. Thanks for taking a look at what I have to say about it. Let me know if you picked it up and tell me what you think. Let me give an additional complaint real quick. The pop-in on the graphics was really terrible, but I'm going to give this a free pass because it's a fucking Switch game. Thank you. Like and subscribe and all that shit. And comment so I can see what you guys think. Thanks, guys. Bye.